Welcome to TechReview, powered by Axel Springer. Here we explore the latest trends, news, and updates from the world of technology. This podcast is the perfect source for staying up to date with what is important to know right now. You can watch all episodes on YouTube or listen to us on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts while you work out, drive, or maybe even travel through space. My amazing co-hosts today are Henrike Hede and Vincent Irmler, and my name is Tarek Madani Mamluk. All right, and we have so many topics to discuss, but before we jump into those, I have to tell you that in this September, we are going to be present on the Quantum Tech Conference in London in September, on September the 19th. So if you are in London, if you are attending this conference, you have the possibility to meet us there and talk to us and see what the fuss is all about quantum technologies. And if you did not buy your ticket yet, you can use our link, our promo link, to get 20% off the ticket price. So check out the show notes because we are going to post the link to our rebate code there. And now let's jump into the news. And today we are going to start with Henrike.
Yes, and we start with an article from the Next Web about tiny robotic tentacles. And that catch my attention because my initial thought was like, ew. But I mean, let's have a look into it. So this article describes how scientists have developed these tiny little robots that are designed to detect and to treat actually lung cancer. You can see that it's really, really tiny. They describe it as only 2.4 millimeters in diameter. It's really soft and it's then suitable to navigate through your lung tissue, which is also a very delicate kind of area. It is sent through your lungs with the help of these bronchoscope thingies. Then magnets are used to kind of adapt to the shape of your anatomy, and then it moves through the lungs to the point of where it has to do some surgery is the wrong word here, but to do its job basically. The whole position is monitored and controlled like from the outside. And when it reaches the destination, then it can do the treatment that it's supposed to do. They tested it on dead bodies so far, and it showed that it can travel 37% deeper into your body than standard equipment could do, while causing less damage, obviously, because it's like minimal invasive. And it can kind of revolutionize the navigation inside the human body, also for then other purposes, not just in that case for lung cancer treatment. It's also supposed to, not just that it causes less damage, but then also less discomfort, and also helps, the whole recovery time to be shortened drastically. And now they're planning to obviously test it in the next step with humans, people alive, and to evaluate the effectiveness even more. And so I mean, it sounds a bit icky, but actually, I mean, it's so small, and I then thought, honestly, why not? It seems like perfectly suitable to actually be more of help than it's like an icky thought of having this little warm robot inside your body doing its job.
Yeah. It sounds so weird, and in the future it might be perfectly normal to have this kind of surgery. But yeah, for me it sounds so weird, especially if you say, for your comfort, we are going to insert these robotic tentacles through your nose.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is also, if you look at the picture, I mean, it kind of shows the dimension, but then it looks big, but it's 2.5 millimeters in diameter. It's so tiny. So this is then what's okay, you cannot really see it when it's in your hand. So it's that that tiny. So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
If it really would be like that big of a thingy, ilk.
Yeah, and of course, surgery is always like highly invasive, and you have to recover from it. And if you have real alternatives without cutting someone open and still treat them efficiently, this might be a huge leap in medicine. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
But also a great topic for a lot of horror movies. I swear he already was dead. We're only using it on dead bodies.
We have inserted them, and I can totally see a movie where somebody is treated with them and gets healthy, and then suddenly there's a malfunction and those things are acting up and doing something completely different.
Right.
Yeah. That's where the horror movie starts. Yeah.
And out of one, it gets, like it's populate and you're getting more and more inside your body.
Yeah.
That's for another podcast.
I remember a Monty Python sketch where someone rings the doorbell and says, "Yeah, I'm here to collect your organs." And he's like, "What? Why are you collecting my organs? You are an organ donor, aren't you?" And he's, "Yeah, but I thought this only happens after I die." "Yeah, no worry. Nobody survived this collection yet." But this on the other side. Yeah, I'm thrilled about this new high-end technology. But
I can tell.
Yeah. Only slight discomfort.
And now, this.
Let's move on. To my article. Let's move on to artificial intelligence. Something maybe a little bit less intrusive. I read on Ars Technica something about GPT-3 and reasoning. And this is something that is very, very interesting, because we already know that these large language models are great with formulating language and fool people into thinking that those things are actually in like real general artificial intelligence. But one thing that is still a big question mark is the aspect of reasoning. So can the AI actually make sense of the things that you're discussing with it, or that it is saying? And we already know that these LLMs, they are AI algorithms with a very high number of computational nodes and connections that excel in human language related tasks. And we now have this team from UCLA, and they tested GPT-3 regarding the SAT, like the standardized test for college students. And they found out that the LLM can already master these tests by reasoning by analogy. So answering these questions based on similar questions that they are trained on. And these LLMs, they demonstrated the ability to identify and apply those rules, like usually in a probability of which letter or which number comes next in terms of what you gave as an input. But of course, these LLMs, they already had they had some glitches and difficulty recognizing actually the nature of problems. So if you give them a very abstract problem, it is not so easy to actually find like the analogy of the things that you trained it on. And in general, these college students were still better than GPT-3 at extracting the meaning from text. But now that we are going to GPT-4, which is way more powerful, we find out that there is a significant improvement in this area of understanding the questions. And so the complexity of LLMs in terms of reasoning capabilities is still not fully understood. And especially with GPT-4, there are people who are saying, okay, we see these glimpses of general AI already in there, even though it's still just an LLM. But if we take a look at these kinds of tests, we see that these LLMs get better and better. And so I think this is one of the most important aspects that we have to take a look at, keep an eye on in the news regarding what these LLMs can do. Because so far, if you have a language-specific task, it is perfectly fine to outsource this to an LLM. But if you actually want to have like a meaningful content-based discussions, there you still might have some problems with the reasoning aspect. And now with GPT-4, maybe we get into an area where the reasoning aspect is actually going to work well. And this is then where these AIs are going to replace more and more people whose job is basically understanding problems, transferring their experiences, and create meaningful context-based solutions. Yeah. All right.
So the discussion that in the end we need to have is, do we want to train the models, or is there maybe a training limitation that we should implement, right? I mean, with the LLMs getting better and better, obviously is due to the fact that they're learning more until they are conscious, or if you're whatever it's called. Yeah, whatever it's called. If there is an artificial intelligence in there at the end and not just a glimpse of, I don't know what the description then would be, but generally I'm saying, well, what I'm asking is, does that mean that we need to stop training those models in the end, maybe implement some kind of a forgetting aspect? So maybe we can use the LLMs further and further, but make them forget again specific conclusions in the end, so that only until you exit the conversation, it is as intelligent as you need it to be, and then it forgets this intelligence again. It doesn't save its data, so it doesn't become more intelligence over one specific level.
Yeah. I would be very curious to see if we are going to develop something like a new Turing test. In the past, we had this Turing test where we said when the chatbot or when the machine is capable of fooling a person into thinking that he's talking to another person, then we have achieved this artificial intelligence that like solves this Turing test and is ripe to be called real artificial intelligence. But we already passed this for quite a while, and now if you talk to ChatGPT, it's very easy to believe that this is a person on the other end of this conversation. And now when we see these machines actually being capable of entering a college, because it answers all of these questions that usually college students have to answer. So basically you can have a large language model getting a college degree. We have to think about new tests to find out if like this is a general artificial intelligence and has something like a conscience, like if we get one step further, or if we need, for example, these reasoning-based questions for really creating these abstractions of problems, so that we can add these large language models to more complex problems. Right now, if we add like a completely strange topic, like a fringe science, something, it might be that the LLM has no idea what you're talking about, while a human being still is capable of create like abstract comparisons to the fields that he's trained on. And I think this comparison becomes more and more hard now with GPT-4 or then GPT-5, whatever comes afterwards. And I think that this reasoning aspect will be the biggest new topic that the large language models have to overcome then.
And now, this.
Let's jump into the next article by Vincent.
Yes. So this is an article that is connected to actually last week's article where we spoke about the X rebrand. And part of that is finally also Elon Musk stepping into his new role as, I think, head of engineering. It's definitely a more tech-focused role and a more product-focused role, something that Elon Musk is a lot of times also advocating himself for as being much better than being a general manager of the company. And I think there is a debate about that, if he is actually capable of doing it. However, the new CEO will step in, and as we already know, and as I think was discussed when her new role was announced, the new CEO has a track record in advertising, and one of the biggest challenges there is to get advertising back on track, because less than 1% of the people of the users of Twitter or X, subscribed for XBlue, and therefore ad dollars are definitely the major revenue stream still. And this article is a very basic article about this change, but when you scroll down, there is one very interesting example that I wanted to bring just because I found it so ironic, and it shows in what kind of a weird state the current advertisement situation within X is. When you scroll down, you will see there's a picture. Yes, this is an advertisement on X. And X is currently allowing users to comment on advertisement, which obviously only draws in people who comment negatively. So this is a very obviously. So interestingly enough, so this is a mobile game, actually something that I also got as an advertisement on Instagram recently, I think, or Facebook. And one user comments, the actual gameplay of Envoy is entirely different from what is shown in the video. This is a false advertisement. And we all have this moment where we download something that is completely different than it was advertised. So actually, I might enjoy this particular comment and this particular advertisement with the comment altogether. But obviously, the advertiser, not really interested in these kind of comments, because obviously it will it will make sure that a lot of people are not downloading the app that potentially would have downloaded it before. And that shows the weird state of advertisement that X is in currently. One more note, X is claiming that their usage went up significantly, I think due to the rebrand and also due to the new competitor threats, and there's just more buzz on the topic, so I think a lot of people click on it. But the reasons, nobody knows. Technically, usage went up, and therefore, obviously, also advertisers still will see it as a viable platform. The question is for how long, when users can comment on it in any ways, but obviously, most of them are not going to be praising the advertised service or product. So I just wanted to bring that pretty funny example.
But this is maybe also this weird psychology of advertising. If people are engaging with this ad, and even though they are writing hateful and negative comments, it might still drive up the rate of installations, people who click on it and want to try for themselves because people were just complaining. It's the same with Elon Musk and X. Everyone makes fun of this company, and everyone says, and he's destroying everything. But still, it is as not popular, as known as never before. Everyone talks about Twitter right now. And so maybe this is a weird, genius way of boosting advertising by allowing people to engage with this ad and discuss about this advertisement, even though they hate it or they have negative things to say. I'm not sure I would love to see like the numbers of this company and their downloads if they still have like benefits out of this. Yeah. So we received 2,000 negative comments, but the download rate was also increased by 500% or something.
I think, it will be interesting to see, because I don't think it will then only be haters commenting on it, because if it's like advertisement for a product that, people just feel passionate about, they will then also like maybe triggered by those negative comments, will download it and then write a completely like opposite one, and like the whole discussion, starts going. And so it's, I think initially I would agree with Vincent that probably more the negative people feel drawn to, now I'm making a comment and now I, do my internet hate thingy. But eventually it also triggers people who are big fans of these products, and then like a discussion starts. And it's interesting then that people probably will discuss about ads.
I think obviously this was the reason for X to keep comments live with advertisement. However, I think the problem behind this generally is that an advertiser expects a specific environment to be put in. We see that advertisers went away from X because hate speech, less regulated commenting and content generally became overhand on the platform. And this now is ensuring that even with bought advertising space, with purchased advertising space, advertisers are not safe of this. And therefore, I think that this is the major problem, that not that there is engagement. I think that is great for advertisements, obviously, because it just boosts content just like regular content organically posted. But it makes sure that advertisers are not getting away from this. And I think that in the end, the 50% drop of advertisers year over year that we are now currently seeing will not stop there because it is not giving them a safe space to advertise in.
Yeah. But you could also say that the classic way of advertising that we are used to for the past 20 years is about to die, because there's so much things happening right now. For example, with ad blockers, people are ignoring like the classic ads, are not seeing them anymore. Or even when we start collecting information now through ChatGPT, I don't go to Google anymore. So Google can't show me their advertisements that they're using anymore. So it might also be that the players in the advertising market are experimenting now more and more with how can we introduce advertising in our content flow. And if this is now in the future being used as a part of content, it's not like only an ad banner that you can simply ignore, but there is a very highly engaged conversation about this advertising, then it becomes a piece of content. And people might use it in this way and not completely block it out, because there is actually an interesting discussion happening about this game for some reason. And so people are seeing it, while they would not have seen it if it would be like an anonymous banner somewhere that I can just block out.
It's a viable perspective.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and you will see us and hear us next week at the same time. See you then. Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.